All right, that's a really good win. Tulane's a good team, really good program, well coached, tackles extremely well. I think if you look at their games, that usually doesn't happen when teams play them. Even, as you look at, I think they went to Oklahoma last year and tight game there. And so proud of our guys in all three phases, to come out and play like that. I think 45-3, and then they get the last touch of 45-10. It's challenging. It's challenging to play that well because a lot of people around them, want to focus on the next week. And, I guess probably a top 10 matchup next week with LSU. So proud how they answered, because I've been in those games and you've seen those games where they're kind of flat and struggle. And some SEC teams, lose to a team in the conference like that. So I'm just really pleased how they performed. And in the defense, after a tough week of a lot of criticism, which was extremely fair by how we played last week, to answer that in the style that they did. I think there's 3 maybe in a row 4th down stops, which are basically turnovers. When a team's in 4 down situations, it's hard to stop them. It's a lot easier when they're willing to punt. So just really, really happy how they performed.
Lane, another big day for Trinidad. How would you assess his performance, and was Austin available today?
Austin was available today, yep. I thought Trinidad played great. That's I love the most important thing, not turning the ball over 2 weeks in a row, because if you do that, you win a lot of games if you take care of the ball. And first offense didn't turn it over back-to-back weeks. And he played really clean, not balls on the ground, and 1 sack. So I think we had 1 last week. So back-to-back weeks, when you just don't have negative plays, he carries the ball 14 times, only loses 2 yards, only has the 1 sack. Everything else is positive, and you rush for 112. So what? 419 total in 3.5 quarters is really good against a defense that has stopped a lot of people.
It's today kind of what y'all saw when evaluating Deuce in the portal and what he could do for y'all in your offense?
Yeah, we knew Deuce was explosive. You didn't get to see kind of him in a wide open offense to make all those plays, but we could just see what he did in their system. And but he's been doing that all camp, making plays like that. And we just made an emphasis of really saying, all right, we got to get more touches to him, because even there was a run, where they have him bottled up and he makes a first down. He just sometimes as receivers they can disappear and not get many touches if you don't go out of your way to get them touches. The running back obviously kind of naturally gets them.
Lane, after a pair of tight games against Kentucky and Arkansas, how relieving was it to beat a good Tulane team handedly without any drama?
Really relieving. I know it was for me. I hope for our fans it was, because we really didn't need another one of those type of games. And because I think in this conference you're going to have a lot of them. And I've said that this model is set up that the SEC bottom is going to be really strong. So you're going to have a lot of hard games. You're going to have 8 of them and then 9 starting next year, because the portal, when teams may be down there, they go and fill the voids. It used to take maybe 2 years to get out of there, out of the bottom. So this was good to have against a team that normally doesn't have a score like that against them.
If Austin's fully healthy next week, will he start, or with what Trinidad's doing, is it more complicated than that?
Yeah, I don't know that. Like I said, Trinidad played really well. Austin was playing really well before he got hurt. And I don't know where Austin will be exactly. He was available, but he was not 100%. But he would have gone in today if we needed him. And that says a lot about Austin, too. He got himself ready to play again this week.
Lane, Retzlaff was similar, at least in dual threat capability, to Taylor Green, who had a good first half against y'all last week. What was the adjustment for the defense that allowed them to bounce back like they did? And I think he only completed his first pass in like the last seconds of the second quarter.
Yeah, I think that was the second one. But, yeah, you're right. They had 1 completion going into that last drive. I thought our guys played assignments really well. and obviously there was a huge emphasis because you're going to see those are good coaches, so you're going to see the same plays that you didn't stop the week before. So a lot of emphasis on the quarterback pulling it and how to play that. And then, we let him out on the long run, but we had a good scramble spy with Centurine package for him that I think worked really well after we screwed it up initially. But after that, I thought it was a really good game plan against him, and that's what you expect from Pete Golding. That they may get you the 1 week, but you're going to go back to work and perform like that the following week.
Lane, no sacks today. Offensive line gave Chambliss a good pocket. Your overall thoughts on the offensive front?
I thought it was good. I thought there was not a lot of negative plays, which is good. Same in the run game, so you could stay ahead. And we didn't get penalties. I feel like we only had one offensive penalty, maybe 5 yards. So that didn't give you some bad situations to have to overcome. And that had a lot to do with not having fourth downs in the game and 7-11 on third downs, I think.
Not jumping the gun too far with you, Coach, but losing the players that you lost coming off last season, how do you kind of evaluate going into at this point, being 4-0, going into LSU, in the terms of the culture and what the staff that you were able to retain this year, what you guys want to do in terms of the standard here for Ole Miss for this year and for the future of the guys you have right now?
Yeah, every year is new, especially in this portal era, and you got to redo everything every year now and rebuild your culture, and because you just don't have enough of your roster back. And so, I commend our building for that. Kyle and his wonderful stats told me last week, first time being 3-0, 5 years in a row since Coach Vaught. So that's a lot of years of starting really well. So I think that has a lot to do with having really good camps, players buying in to perform well early in the season.
Doesn't get talked about a ton, but Lucas Quinero, the weapon that he is for y'all and matching his career high today, just what kind of confidence it allows an offense that you only have to really get past midfield?
Yeah, it really feels good. We had a really good one last year, and to have a good one again, because there was a long field goal there early. Actually, analytics said to go for it. We still kicked just because I felt so confident in him and wanted to get a score there.
Lane, like someone else kind of already asked, but the defense today, you guys just allowed the garbage time touchdown, but really 3 real points throughout the game. What can you say about the job that they did compared to last week when you guys allowed 35 to Arkansas?
Yeah, that was we'd not had defense like that around here. What happened last week, really since the Georgia game 2 years ago. So that was a hard one. Staff, players took it hard. Had a special meeting with just Coach Golding and the players Sunday night, no one else in there. And they spent a long time together, talking about getting it right and what are we going to be on defense? Are we going to have the standard and play like we did a year ago? Or are we going to revert? So they really answered the call today.
Seemed like you got a couple chances to talk with Austin throughout the game. I know it's tough on him not being in there. How'd he take it, and how was he today?
Just really try to keep him, warm, moving around, because it really does tighten up on him, in the course of a game, because there's a lot of standing around on it. And sometimes I just mess with the opponent too. I act like I'm giving him a play that he's going in, so it makes them think I feel like from the press box. I don't know if it really works, but I do a lot of that stuff in the game.
You alluded to it in the opening comments. Next week, more likely close to a top 10 matchup at LSU. It's at 2:30 again, just like this week. Is that a time you prefer when it's that same time as the week before? Or, what do you kind of feel like when it comes to that?
I'm over that. I just know what it's going to be. I told the commissioners here today, we're going to play LSU. It's going to be a day during there. And we're going to go down there, and it's going to be at night. So I just know what it's going to be. So it is what it is. I'm sure we'll be at night at Georgia too. So you can just mark that one in. Hey, if you just set it up that way, you won't be upset when it happens, because you won't start to think maybe it'll be different this time.
How hard is it, especially at quarterback, when a guy comes in after spring camp to be dominating the way he is? And what traits do you like about Trinidad at this point?
Yeah, I think that says a lot about Trinidad, Charlie, Joe Judge. Both staffs had to do this because their guy was late too. For Trinidad to play like this is a lot about him, and that's a lot of preparation to get somebody ready, because Austin was definitely our starter, and Trinidad had to do a lot of mental reps and a lot of time in the office just going over things just in case and being ready and preparing like a starter.
Any other questions for Coach? All right, thanks guys. Well, players in next.
All right, guys, thanks.